I would like to call this meeting of Community Board order. Would you all pledge allegiance to the flag? Pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, liberty,
Thank you. So the first order of business, we'd like to ask Shano to give us an update on the coronavirus situation. Shay, are you there?
Yes, sir, I'm ready to go.
Go ahead.
All right, good evening, everyone. Board 5, nice to see you again. I have my camera off today because my hair is a mess. My attempts at not turned out very well. Therefore, I have ordered clippers, which are backward on Amazon. So, with that said, I'll be going over current situation happening in Washington State, for the epidemiology. We have more than 7.2 million reported cases. New York State has 171,789 cases yesterday. New York City has 204,000 New York City has 117,007 deaths and 4,700. As for the multi-system inflammatory syndrome in children, or MIS-C, New York City has 169. For Queens, we have 62,466 confirmed cases. Of those cases, 27%, or 16,603 people, have been hospitalized. There have been 5,159 confirmed deaths and 1,214 total deaths as of yesterday. And Queens has 32 confirmed cases. So what's happening right now? New York City, as of Monday, is in phase 1 of reopening. If you stay home, please. If you're sick, please stay home. If you're sick, please stay home. Keep physical distance. Stay at least 6 feet away from people. Wash your hands often in soap and water. Use hand sanitizer, soap and water from the and wear a face covering. You can protect around you by wearing a face covering around you. So what is this phase 1 business? Phase 1 is opening of non-essential business activities in the following industries: construction, agriculture, forestry, fishing and hunting. Retail is limited to curbside or in-store pickup or drop-off, manufacturing, and wholesale trade. For businesses that have questions about restarting, they can call the New York City Department of Small Business Services at 1-800-SBS-4NYC. That's 1-800-727-4692. Non-essential workers not included in phase 1 are directed to work from home. So to keep New Yorkers safe and reopen in a safe manner, all sectors must implement New York State safe areas to help reduce COVID-19. Physical distancing requires 6 feet of distance, and safety or sport functions to work safely requires less. And businesses must reduce occupancy to 100. Limit confined spaces to one person. Elevators behind one person. And they should limit all in-person gatherings and meetings in bars and all ventilatory bars. Personal protective. This requires face covering. And employers must provide employees with covering. As for hygiene, businesses must implement frequent cleaning and disinfecting of any shared surfaces, and they must implement mandatory health plans for employees. Commercial buildings are now authorized to check for thermal imaging control of full signage and building owners will need to perform additional maintenance of certain water treatment plants. We are seeing leaking issues come back. So stagnant water that results from low as for what the MTA is doing, they're increasing service hours. They're also implementing capacity limits on all certain trains. They're also trying to limit patients and trainers that are they also install portables and markers and also stations, and they also and as for personnel, MTA is trying to engage in a study. It's not approved by the FDA or the as for the multi-system children or MIC, it's a rare condition in children associated with COVID-19. It's characterized by serious inflammatory conditions such as Kawasaki disease and toxic shock syndrome. Most children have several days of fever along with other symptoms such as irritability, abdominal pain, and vomiting. Seek care if your child has a fever for several days plus other symptoms, and go to the hospital or call 911 if it's an emergency. As for testing, all New Yorkers should get tested whether or not you have symptoms or at increased risk. Immigration status will not be asked, and COVID-19 testing and care services are not a public benefit under the public charge rule. Repeat testing should be offered if you have COVID-19 symptoms, if you're concerned by a possible exposure, including spending time in large crowds, and exposure to someone with a confirmed or positive COVID-19, or breaches in wearing a face covering or maintaining physical distancing. All New Yorkers who participated in recent protests should assume that they were exposed to COVID-19 and get tested. The state is prioritizing 15 testing sites across the city for individuals who have participated in protests. The city has more than 240 locations that offer free walk-in testing. For more information, visit nyc.gov/COVID testing or call 311 to find the location near you. And the city is also launching mobile testing trucks this week. New York City antibody testing will reopen in July. Your doctor's office, City MD, or other urgent care facilities may offer antibody testing. False positive results may occur. It's possible that you did not have COVID-19 and the antibodies detected were from an infection with the related virus. A positive test does not mean that you are immune to COVID-19 or that you can't get it again. It is important that you continue to follow physical distancing and good hand hygiene recommendations. All New Yorkers must wear a face covering, and stores can now refuse entry to individuals who do not have face coverings. But people who are less than 2 years of age and people with breathing problems or another health issue that makes them unable to tolerate face coverings do not need to wear a face covering, but they may need to provide documentation. Let's see. As for addressing COVID-19 disparities, the top 10 zip codes with new COVID-19 hospitalizations are in communities of color located in the Bronx, Brooklyn, and Queens, and New York City is prioritizing resources for these impacted zip codes. New York State is opening 14 new temporary testing sites at churches located in communities that were hit hardest by COVID-19. And it is done in partnership with Northwell Health and Somos Community Care. The insurance deadline has been extended once again. So New Yorkers without health insurance can apply through New York State of Health through June 15th. If you lost coverage from an employer, you must apply within 60 days. Blood donations are greatly needed. Due to this crisis, blood donations have dropped off. So the New York Blood Center is collecting whole blood, plasma, and if you were diagnosed with COVID-19 or if you tested positive in antibody testing, you can donate convalescent plasma. That's in great need. Visit nybc.org or call it 1-800-933-2566 to make an appointment. Vaccinations are also essential to protecting kids and communities. free vaccinations are available. Over 1,000 New York City facilities via the Vaccines for Children program are active. They're also available in health and hospitals, community health clinics. Families can call 844-NYC-4NYC to make an appointment at a center near them. With phase 1, New York City can now resume elective surgeries and ambulatory care. That's it for me. That's it for my updates. Please let me know if any questions. Thank you for your time.
Anybody have any questions? Raise your hands, or Fred Heffley. Got to turn the mic on for Fred.
Excuse me, I have a question. Where will be the test location for this COVID-19? For example, I'm from Ridgewood by Wyckoff Heights Hospitals. Is there any locations where we could send the people for testing of COVID-19?
This is, tell everybody who you are first.
This is Suk Gurung.
So we're going to help you with answer that question. Wyckoff is planning on doing some out testing in the neighborhood. So when we find that information out, I'll give that to you. But Che, do you know any city locations?
As for this community for CB5, I do not have a list of locations at hand, but let me see if I can pull it up right now. Give me a second.
You may want to look over the border too. Okay. Any other questions while he's looking that up?
Lee?
Yeah.
Fred?
Yes. Yeah, I'm curious.
Hold on. Fred Heffley first. Hold on. Hold on. Fred Heffley first. Go ahead, Fred. Speak, Fred.
Curious if we know when motor vehicle will be opening up? Yeah, Vinny.
Yes,
motor
DMV?
vehicle, New York State motor vehicle. Do you know when they're going to be?
New York State DMV is engaging in limited services that are only mail-in and drop-off starting June 1st and June 4th. They plan to resume in-person transactions when phase 3 comes over. I'm not sure when that's going to be. DMV locations in different counties, upstate and also in Long Island, Nassau and Suffolk are engaging in business. For more information, please visit dmv.ny.gov. They have their office locations and their policies listed very detailed. I actually had to look it up myself since my license will expire in 2 months.
Well, I would recommend going out to Westbury. The lines are always smaller and the people are nicer.
Yes, they're not conducting any in-person transactions right now. So if you need to change your title or, license plates or return license plates and so forth, you would have to follow their guidance on the website. As for license renewals, that can be done online. But if you're trying to switch it to a real ID, that requires an in-person transactions, and that is currently suspended.
Anyone else?
This is Peggy.
Hold on.
Slow down. Lee had the next. Lee had a question, and then Peggy.
Yes, hi. I heard you talk about the antibody testing, and I was wondering what the purpose is, because if having antibodies doesn't mean that you can't get it again, and if you get false positives and false negatives, then what's the purpose of being tested for antibodies?
Yeah, thank you for your question. So it's to find out if the patient or the subject was exposed to COVID-19. So when antibody testing was first implemented, it was to gather statistics on the general exposure rate of the New York City population as well as the state. Now we're trying to do that to see if antibodies are offering protections, because this is a very, very new disease, and science has progressed to the point where we're able to, create testing methods and create antibody testing methods and whatnot, but we're not there yet. So we're trying to figure it out. So the antibody testing will be offered again in New York City in July, but I mean, guidance is still pending. So I hope to give you a more clear answer in the coming weeks.
Okay,
Okay,
so
thank you.
one thing, if everybody would press on participants and it comes up on the right-hand side, and on the bottom it says raise hand. If you want to speak, hit that, would you? Okay. So who
Kathy-
else wanted to speak?
Kathy Sumsky is next.
Go ahead, Kathy. Hello, Kathy. We lost you, Kathy.
Do you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. I was just curious with these demonstrations, what's going to happen in the next couple of weeks? Is there any, word on that, being that, we've had thousands of people when we came down from the curve, now walking the streets and yelling and that can cause the disease to spread among other protesters, concerning matter, especially for someone who is elderly and going to come in contact with some of these protesters and not even know it.
Thank you for your question. It is a big concern of ours. We saw the various jurisdictions saw their numbers go up after the Memorial Day weekend, and it hasn't been 2 weeks yet since the protest started, maybe a week and a half ago. We, as the health department, did release guidelines on public protests, but once again, these are guidelines, and people, if they're caring about their health, they should follow them. We urge protesters to wear face coverings, wear eye protection, use hand sanitizer, do not yell, use signs and noisemakers instead, stick to a small group, keep 6 feet from other groups. But as we all know, all the parties involved in the protesters and police officers and other individuals alike, they did not abide by our recommendations. So we're hoping that the case numbers don't go up, but we're conducting aggressive surveillance with the hospitals and medical providers, and we have our fingers crossed. But our guidance is there.
Ed Latow.
Who's that?
Ed.
Listen, I'm here. I've been doing.
Peggy, did you press the button?
Yes.
Your hand's
Okay.
not up.
Your hand's
It
not up.
is. I raised. It's got press raise hand.
Now it's up.
Okay. So pick one.
I'm just going the order they came into me, and now it's not up again, Peggy.
Well, it says raise hand, and now it says.
You have to
Click on it.
Click raise hand. Lower hand means put it down.
I know, but I pressed raise hand.
Right, and then it's up, but then you press.
To it.
But then you're pressing lower hand to put it back down.
No, I'm not. It says raise
Okay.
hand. That's what's showing.
Okay.
Right, which means you have to click it so that the hand is up. That's the command, not that.
I don't
not that
have
the
a
hand is up.
hand. I don't have a hand symbol. It really says raise hand.
And
Right,
you click on that.
Click on that
I
once and
did.
leave it.
And
Click on it once. No, click on
I
it now,
did.
please. Click. Your hand is not up. Now it's up.
It says,
Leave
Okay,
it.
stop.
Leave it.
now it says lower hand.
Right.
Stop.
Leave it.
Just speak, Peggy. Go ahead.
All of this, just reverting to the DMV, my license expired in May. I had applied in April. I just got a correspondence from them that they're processing it. So they are doing something by mail.
So put the slide up.
They said, don't worry about it. It was extended. Anything that expired March 29th is automatically extended, whether it's a license to build buildings, a license to drive, or whatever. So you have to wait until you get it back.
Wait 30 seconds.
I understand that, but I'm saying that they are working.
Thank you. Okay, Mark, who's next?
Ed.
Ed.
Oh, sorry. Hi, Vinny. I signed in a little bit later. I just wanted you to know I was here. I returned to work 2 weeks ago, Tuesday, May 26th. I was tested 2 weeks before that, both for the antibodies and for the coronavirus, the 2 tests. I was negative. At work, though, unfortunately, several people passed. We have people that have the antibodies that were positive, and we had people that were sick from the virus. So there is what you would say, I wear the mask. There is PPE, to sanitize. They try to put up barriers and distancing. My question is how, with my underlying health issues and my age, am I still at a high risk to catch the virus, even though I can do only to protect myself, but going into the subway, going onto the bus, going into work, I feel that, it's possible, I can catch it, even though I was exposed since March to the virus until I was sent home to quarantine because they reduced, the workforce and to ride out the virus itself. I don't know if it's a lucky thing or if having the flu shot in October gave me some type of protection against this version of what would be a flu, but a more, deadly version if you should wind up catching it.
So, Che,
Yeah, thank you for your question. Influenza is caused by a family of influenza viruses, and COVID-19 is caused by a specific strain of coronavirus. So it's a bit different, but having a flu shot is always good. And as for exposure to SARS-CoV-2, the virus that causes COVID-19, everyone's experience is different. Some people may, they may have been asymptomatic. Some people may have came down with symptoms more severe than others. So as for that, for every person, it's different, but it is a big risk. As for minimizing your potential exposure to SARS-CoV-2 and just COVID-19 in general, the state and the city have been, releasing these guidelines and different orders in order to minimize whatever risks that may be. I mean, we understand that public transit is a necessity. We understand that in-person transactions in certain cases are a necessity too. So we're asking businesses and individuals to take all appropriate precautions as much as possible. As for the possibility of you not catching again, we're not sure. We're not sure if an individual can come down with it again. We're not sure if the individual is immune permanently or immune for a certain duration, maybe 6 months, maybe a year. Who knows? We're still trying to figure that out, and we're releasing information as they become verified. So, sorry about that.
thank you. We have to keep going here, folks.
Dimitro?
So, Dimitro, what do you have to say?
2 things. One, there was a question asked about testing. So the New York State Department of Health will test you at their locations by appointment. I put the number in the chat that you would call. You call, you do an intake. They take questions, they answer questions, you give answers. They then call you back a day or 2 later, and they schedule your appointment wherever they're testing. Stony Brook University, Aqueduct, those were 2 locations that the New York State Department of Health was testing. So I did put the number in there. The number is 888-364-3065. That's just for COVID. That's not for antibodies. It's just for COVID. They do it in your car. You drive up in your car, and there's a whole process. It's really run well. And it works. So if anyone wants a COVID test and they don't know where to go, they can give the New York State Department of Health a call, and they will get you your results roughly within 3 to 5 days after you're tested. So, going back to Che, you had said that it's unclear whether people can contact or get COVID a second time. And that is understandable because the virus is so new. But the question is, are there any records kept to identify people who have gotten it twice since the outbreak? And if not, is the city prepared to monitor that so that we know whether or not it is or can be contracted a second time?
I believe that per HIPAA laws, hospitals and medical providers are supposed to retain this information for, I believe, was it 7 years? Yeah, so they retain the case information for the individual for 7 years. And considering that COVID-19 is a reportable disease, we would have information, but it would not be open to any other parties except for the medical provider and the patients themselves. And yeah, hopefully we don't get an instance of someone catching it a second time, or and so forth. But if that occasion does arise, we will find out.
Well, I only ask that because what we don't want is people like myself who have had it and have dealt with it to think that we're safe. And I don't take that approach. Trust me, I don't. I take the approach as if I never had it. Because if you ever have it, you'll know. Trust me, and it's not fun, and it's very dangerous, as we all know. So I just want to make sure that the people who have had it don't take the approach. I got a free pass here; I could do what I want. So that's why I was concerned that we should highlight that if it becomes an issue for a second, as a second time going around. That's all I'm saying. I don't think it's necessary to know who had it a second time, but I think it's important that we identify that and publish that information so that all people will be concerned and take the right precautions of social distancing and everything else. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Fred Hallen?
Yes, I'm really thankful for your commentary, because no one is perfectly safe from this, and people should take all appropriate precautions. And we're trying to push the messaging out, but people are people, so we're trying to do the best we can, but we'll try harder. And I'm very glad that you and your family have recovered.
Fred Hallen?
Two things. Is that a palm tree behind Marianne?
Come on.
That's not fair. And that small business 800 number, I didn't have my pen. I wasn't ready for it. Could you give it to me again?
Okay.
The 800 number that Shay gave.
Yes. Give me a second. Let me pull it up again. Businesses. Yes, it's 1-800-727-4692.
Thanks.
Okay. So Ken who?
Ken, oh, there you go.
Who?
Ken, we can't hear you. You must have a problem with your microphone because you're not muted.
All right, we'll get back to you when you figure that out. Marianne Latanzio. Marianne?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay,
What's up?
I have a concern over the parks and social distancing not being enforced. And as you all know, I complained about Juniper Valley Park, about how people are on top of each other, and the police tell me they're not responsible. School safety is put there just to sit in the car, and they're telling me they can't talk to anyone and encouraged to be social distancing. And yet we have people playing soccer and on top of each other. One, who is to enforce it? And two, how are we going to get a handle on COVID-19 if we're not enforcing social distancing in our public places, in our parks?
Okay. I don't think you can answer, but Shay, go ahead. Try it.
No, this is a concern that comes up from different communities as well. So this enforcement of social distancing is now under the purview of the social distancing ambassadors. Well, they're not enforcing, they're telling people to back off, and they're also giving out face masks and educating them. That's under one of the deputy mayor's office, but as for the parks itself, this responsibility falls under parks enforcement. Unfortunately, the parks manager is not here today, but I'll bring up the issue with him. And you said Juniper Valley Park, right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right, then I'll flag it up to Mr. Simmons.
Thank you.
Okay. So Laura, are you out there? I saw your name. Laura, no? Yes? No?
Okay, I'm
Okay.
here.
So before you call the roll call, I want to know who Marianne Rivero is.
Yeah, I was wondering that too.
Hello? Marianne
Could it be
Rivero.
Marianne Zero, Z-E-R-O?
No, it says Rivero.
That was
Okay,
me
then
not
that's not me.
understanding. That was me not understanding.
Oh, Okay.
Okay, all right. Go ahead, Laura, please do the roll call.
Oh, sorry about that. Let me just answer a question that was raised by Mr. The first question that came in. So on our website, nyc.gov/COVID testing, it shows you the information about, like who can get tested, the testing criteria and whatnot. But if you scroll down, there is a finder. So if you type in your address or your zip code, you can find it. So for zip code 11385, currently we have 4 testing locations. Unfortunately, they're closed because it's 8 p.m., but they'll be open tomorrow. They have the phone number, addresses, and different technical details about whether they require appointments or screenings. But you can definitely check that out. And also, per Mr. Dimitro, you can call the New York State Department of Health at 888-364-3065. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Laura, please do the roll.
Okay, Vincent Arcuri,
Present.
Antonetta Benanti, Tony Benanti. She was here before.
All right.
Adhikari Bhubaneswar.
I'm here.
Adhikari Bhubaneswar. I saw his name on there.
Myself. Yeah, I'm here, present.
Okay, great. Eric Butkowitz.
Here, present.
Eric is present. Okay. Bob Tremelli.
Here.
Walter Clayton.
Here.
Patty Crowley.
Present.
Brian Dooley.
Present.
Jerry Drake. Dimitro Fikowski. I know he's there. Steve Fiedler. Sean Fish. Present. Sean, are you there?
Yes, ma'am, present.
Okay.
And you have to spell his name properly.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sukurung.
Present, I'm here.
Thank you. Fred Haller. Fred Haller. I know you're there.
He was there.
Fred Hofferly. I know he was there. Richie Huber.
Present.
Paul Kersner. Paul.
Paul is here. Hold on.
He's eating.
Okay. Kinga Kersner.
Present.
Marianne Latanzio.
Present.
Ed Latau.
Present.
Mike Liendo. John Meyer.
Here.
Patricia Maltesos.
Present.
Edgar Mantel.
Present by telephone.
Okay, Kathy Massey. Kathy, I know you're there. Eileen Maloney. Present. Eileen's
Who said
present. Was that Eileen Maloney?
Everybody else, please listen.
Peggy O'Kane, present.
Present.
Michael O'Kane.
Here.
Don Passantino.
Present.
Mike Percelli.
Wide awake, no matter what you think.
Mike Percelli.
He's here.
I saw his name. Ken Redberger.
Yes, here.
Ted Renz. Ted, I know is here. Calvin Rodriguez. No. Luis Rodriguez.
Present.
Okay. Lee Rottenberg.
Here.
Walter Sanchez.
I'm here.
Carmen Santana. Dennis Steffen.
Here, I'll take it back to you.
Okay, Dennis.
Folks,
Happy
stop
Sumsky.
talking.
I know you're there. Megan Taddeo. Kainal Thapa.
Present.
Okay, hello. Barbara Toscano.
Present.
Okay. Patrick Trincasi.
Present.
Nicolene. She said she wasn't be able to make it. Crystal Wolf. Mariana Zero. Mariana. I know she's here. Nan Zhang. No. And Gary, are you out there?
He was.
Yeah, I thought I saw him earlier. Okay. All right. Joe Nocerino, are you there? I saw Joe earlier.
Here, yes. Laura.
Okay. All right, good. The only one is, can I just check again, Eileen Maloney? No.
Where the heck is the microphone?
Okay, I'm done.
Thank you. Okay. So we have some new members that I'd like to introduce if everyone else would be quiet and not make noise. So the first one is Adhir Akari Barandanshore.
Yes, sir. Good morning and namaste. Good evening, everyone. My name is Bhubaneswar Adhikari. That's Adhikari is my last name, and Bhubaneswar. I'm from the resort.
And what is your background and what have you been doing?
I'm living here since 2003, and I'm working on Nepalese community. I'm the senior vice president of the Ridgewood Nepalese Society now, and other thing, only I'm working on the Nepalese community still. Now I'm just enter here. Let's see what's going on.
Very good, thank you. And then we
Thank you,
have Eric Butkowitz. Eric.
Hey, how's it going? Vinny, thanks for introducing me. I'm glad to be here. I know some of you may know me from the neighborhood, and it's a great honor to be part of the community board. It's something that I've always wanted to do, to get more involved in the community and in the neighborhood. And really, Community Board 5 does great work, and it's great to be part of it. And I'm really looking forward to working with everyone here to help make the community a better place.
How old are you, Eric?
Let's see, what am I up to now? 24.
Okay, so you're probably our youngest member. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Okay. The next one is Sean Fish. Sean, introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. My name's Sean Fish. I moved to the neighborhood last year, almost a year ago today. I've got a 3-year-old and a 3-month-old. And since 2020 years, I've been working for the Department of Education. Right now, I work with the UFT, training new teachers and supporting them. And I just want to do whatever I can to make things better for everybody's kids.
Very good, thank you. Dr. Gurung,
Yes.
are you there? And tell us about yourself.
Yes, good evening, everybody, and namaste. I moved to Ridgewood in 2002. By background, I'm a civil engineer, licensed in the state of New York, state of Texas, states of New Hampshire. I like New York City very much. I have a son and a daughter. My son is 34 years old, a little separate from me. My daughter is 24 years old, still doing nursing and pretty soon free from me. So I'm a retired person this year, maybe. That's what I'd like to do. I have been around this area for a pretty long time, and I would like to volunteer my extra time for the betterment of our community number 5. I usually see this area is densely populated. Our recreational area, park, is so-so. We don't have a lot of places, but we could manage it. And I also see the area behind the Clover Cleveland area, which is manufacturing district, I believe, is need to be adding to the zonings. We could discuss that. Maybe we could bring a lot of business in our community and make a very good employment opportunity. My birth was in Nepal. I have educated in Nepal, India, Thailand, Japan, Singapore, and I have been to different places on work, like places like Japan, Uganda, Africa, Brazil, and South Korea. And beside that, after that, I have been since 2002. I have been in the United States, and I would like to work together with all of you. And it's my pleasure to introduce myself. And thank you very much. and looking forward to work.
Thank you and welcome. Kinga Kurzna, are you there?
Hello, everyone.
Okay.
My name is Kinga Cruzina. I lived in Glendale for the last, I would say, it's been over a year. And before I lived in Ridgewood for 6 years. I am a pending admission attorney in New York State, and I currently work in a law firm in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn. A year ago, I became a U.S. citizen, and that made me actually rethink my civic path, and I became more involved with community, and that was the reason why I wanted to become more involved and basically to give back to the community that now I am living in. Thank you, and it's a pleasure to join the community board.
Thank you and welcome. So 2 members have elected not to renew, Pat Grayson and Connie Santos. So that's, we'll eventually get you all the listings of the members and everything else. And the new members, you'll be getting a package describing different things and asking what you're interested in. And at some point in time, the executive committee will appoint you to committees. With that, I'd like to continue with the public forum. Mr. Giordano, do you have any items in the public forum?
I do. Just bear with me a minute. Vinny, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to read the police report then?
Okay, I'll do that. Well, I was going to do that under the chairman's report. Okay, I'll do it now. So I'm sorry, folks. It's rough doing this back and forth. So Officer Berish, Community Affairs Officer, reported to us that first off, he wanted all of us to congratulate the commanding officer, Victoria Perry, who was just promoted to deputy inspector. And as far as the statistics go, for the last 28 days, rape is down by 4, robbery down by 2, felony assault is up by 1, burglary is up 7, and that's mainly because of all the businesses that were closed and exposed to vandals and burglars. Grand larceny is down by 8, and grand larceny auto is down by 3. The various protests that were mentioned within the confines of the 104 were basically peaceful. That was Underdog Avenue, Juniper Park. On the perimeter, the only one that was a problem, as I mentioned earlier, was over at Queens Center Mall. Thank you, Gary. Go ahead.
Yeah, Vinny, just to expand on crime stat issues. At the end of May, year to date, we were up significantly from 2019 to 2020 in the 104. 17.51% year to date crime increase. So for the past few months, it's been good, but robbery is up 22% year to date. Felonious assault is up 70%. Burglary is up 81% year to date. Rape is down 64%. So just to kind of clarify over the longer haul, so to speak. Citywide, crime is down as of May 31st, 2.46% citywide. But our precinct's been up.
Okay, thank you. So what do you have under the public forum?
We got something from.
Hang on 1 second, Gary. Richard's iPhone has his hand up.
That should be Yuba, right?
Yeah, and you're muted, Richie.
Just speaking regarding the crime stats, the numbers you just reported, Gary, all seem to be somewhat significant. Anything over 10% is greater than an anomaly, in my humble opinion. And all of the crimes that you're speaking of are serious quality of life issues. And in my personal opinion, I think this has to do with bail reform and emptying the jails. That's just my thoughts. And hopefully these things can be addressed going forward as we get back to a so-called new normal. Thank you very much, Gary, and thank you all for your time.
Thanks, Rich. Okay, Mr. G.
All right, so we got something from the American Red Cross stating the American Red Cross across the regions of New York State have developed a program in response to COVID-19 to support individuals and families who have lost family members to death as a result of COVID-19. The program will link crisis counselors with families to provide emotional and spiritual support, as well as targeted short-term case management to assist with navigating through the challenging processes that might be faced with as a result of a death. This might include challenges with moving the family member's body through the hospital, nursing home, medical examiner, and funeral home systems in this time when those systems may be overwhelmed and their processes may be different than they normally are. They may also include linkage to legal resources for estate, custody, immigration, or other issues related to the death. And then they say the following links to an online intake form can be submitted by a family member, a friend who thinks someone needs help, or an agency on behalf of the family. For those without access to the needed online technology, the phone number will link the caller to an intake person who will assist with the initial steps for getting assistance. The phone number is 585-957-8187. The program is expected to operate for as long as families will benefit from the service or through the month of September.
Thank you. That's the only one, right?
Not really. We got a few things in writing.
Well, I don't have them here. The others are elected officials.
Yeah, no. But I'm saying I have a few things that were received today that look like they wanted to have them as part of the public forum.
Okay, yeah, I don't have them, but go ahead.
A woman named Kerry Herlihy says that she's a resident of Ridgewood on Cypress Avenue, and she speaks about as the city opens up, she thinks buses are critical to get the city back running, as we see essential workers taking buses at a high rate. And many residents, including herself, feel much safer in a bus than in a subway underground. She said she's very happy with the bus lane we already have on Fresh Pond Road. So she wants to prioritize ensuring that enforcement is taken very seriously. She calls it resurfacing the idea of expanding the length of the hours like originally proposed for the transit system. And then asking if we can push for more bus lanes.
Okay,
she asked if the curbside compost collection is suspended. Do we have any updates? And
All right.
She talks about
Transportation-
wanting cuts to the police.
Transportation issues will be discussed in committee. We'll try and find out from sanitation or the mayor's office, actually, when they're going to reinstitute curbside recycling or composting. Anything else?
Yeah, from Kelly Mancuso, owns a small salon in Ridgewood, used to be a reporter for the Ridgewood Times. Been not been able to open since COVID-19. She's having trouble with her landlord. Yeah.
Well,
and trying to evict her, and is looking for better protection.
Let's get Ted and Angela involved in that, please.
Yeah, and then Vinny, without reading them, and I'm not sure they wanted them to go to as far as the public forum goes, you know, we do have several things from people asking for cuts to the police budget.
Okay, well, pass it on to the Public Safety Committee.
Right.
Thank you. Any other public forum items?
No.
If not, we'll go to Chairperson's report, which is me, Vincent O'Curie. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that we're live streaming and thank everyone who is participating, paying attention to what we're doing. We are trying to continue the business of the city and Committee Board 5 as we go along. So under the Chairperson's report, before I introduce some people, what board members, what about the minutes? Anybody, everybody got the minutes? Is there a motion to take care of the minutes?
I make a motion that we accept the minutes.
Second.
Okay, who was first?
Walter.
Walter Clayton and
Yes.
Kathy Massey. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. What did I do with, here it is. Beer, wine, and liquor licenses. New liquor license, Avante un Altro, 6517 Fresh Pond Road. Liquor license renewals. Grand Jammer LLC, doing business as Windjammer, 552 Grand Avenue, Ridgewood. Grove Productions LLC, doing business as Nowadays, 50, I'm sorry, I can't read. 5606 Cooper Avenue. Nostro Joe's Inc., doing business at Joe's Restaurant, 6711 Forest Avenue. Recess Del Mar Restaurant Corporation, 675 Woodwood Avenue. Laura, I think that's one we have to look into for previous problems. We'll get together and talk about that. We think it's not a good place. Outerborough Arts LLC, doing business as a Footlight Bar, 465 Seneca Avenue. No new wine and beer licenses. No wine and or beer license renewals. Julia's Wine and Bar LLC, 818 Woodwood Avenue, submitted a notification that they intend to submit an application to New York State Liquor Authority to add Geneva Williams as a principal and to change their method of operation from tavern wine license to full liquor wine and beer license. That includes an outdoor space. We just have to look at the hours of operation. New York State Liquor Authority notified they will be conducting a 500-foot hearing on behalf of Baby Johnson Corp. 1684 Woodbine Street, Ridgewood. That's that. Okay. Building demolition notices. 784184 Street, Glendale, Block 3843, Lot 25. Partial demolition notice. I don't know if it's the garage or part of the building, but that's a notice. Okay. Let's see what else we have. Liquor license, applications. Okay. Joe Nocerino from the Borough President's Office. What do you have to tell us?
Hello, thank you, Vinny. Hello, everyone. Regards from the Borough President and myself. Hope all is well. I have a very short list that I want to talk about. Just first, the Borough President welcomes all first-time appointees. I'm sure you'll be getting a letter if you have not in the mail from her. Welcoming returning members as she appreciates your service. Reminding everyone, please fill out your census if you have not, and tell your families and your neighbors, and let's try and get a good showing from the area, Queens, and certainly the CB5 area. Let's vote on June 23rd. Absentee ballots are there for you. Early voting is in place, but please, let's make sure you vote. Absentee ballot has to be postmarked before the 23rd. A couple of events, and then I will send Gary and Laura and Vinny the dates for these events so you can have them. Pride event, the Borough President's Pride event is June 18th at 2 p.m. All these events are obviously virtual, and you can link in through the Borough President's website. Borough President's Recruitment Fair, June 24th at 2 p.m. Borough President's Philippine Independence Day event, June 24th at 5 p.m. And lastly, Queens Borough President's celebration of Jerusalem, June 25th at 5 p.m. Those dates I'll make sure get over to Gary, Laura, and Vinny. I thank you all for your time. Be well, be safe.
Thank you. Mr. Giordano, do you want to read the elected official statements, or you want me to do that?
Starting with the statement announcements from the mayor's office.
Correct.
New York City Care will be expanding to Queens 4 months ahead of schedule. This is a citywide effort to guarantee health care for all New Yorkers by providing access to low-cost and no-cost primary care for those who are ineligible or can't afford insurance. And it helps to fight healthcare disparities made clear by COVID-19. For more information, please go to nyccare.nyc. Phase 1 of reopening New York City began on Monday, June the 8th. Industries that can now reopen include construction, retail, clothing and electronic stores limited to curbside or in-store pickup, manufacturing and wholesale trade. Our dedicated business restart hotline is 888-SBS-4NYC, which translates into 888-727-4692. Workers who call 311 will be connected to the Department of Consumer and Worker Protection for immediate assistance. And New York City Small Business Services coordinating with BIDS and Chambers of Commerce to provide 2 million face masks to small businesses citywide. And Community Board 5, SBS, has partnered with the Myrtle Avenue Business Improvement District. Says here that our daily health indicators continue to remain below the thresholds. We expect phase 2 of reopening to begin either at the end of June or the beginning of July. The mayor announced a plan to expand restaurant outdoor seating once the city enters phase 2 to temporarily use space to support the city's restaurants while maintaining social distancing. This will include curbside seating, converting parking spaces to use the roadbed. Open streets, they have 45 miles of open streets and will be expanding to 100 miles, and sidewalk seating. This will require establishments to maintain paths for pedestrians and people with disabilities. The city is capable of performing, according to this, 20,000 COVID-19 tests per day. For an interactive map that shows all known testing sites, please go to nyc.gov/COVID COVID testing or call 311. We encourage all New Yorkers to get tested, especially those who have recently attended a protest. If you need a hotel to self-isolate, please go to nyc.gov/COVID hotel, COVID-HOTEL. Our test and trace team was launched on June 1st and includes 1,700 community engagement specialists and case investigators speaking 40 different languages. It says here, alternate side parking will be suspended through June 21st. The city may extend the suspension based on street cleanliness and workforce availability.
Hold on a
That's
second,
the
Gary.
statement from the mayor's office.
Hold on a second. Can you have something on the mayor's statement? We can't hear you.
Hold on, Ken. Hold on. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Speak.
You're on. I asked
You
you
on
to.
the phone or the computer?
The phone's not working.
The phone's not working? This
There it
not
is.
working?
Now it is. Go ahead.
Okay. Is the outdoor, what is that noise?
You got the computer and the phone on. You can't use both at the same time.
I muted the computer.
Go ahead, Kenny. No?
Yeah, unmute the computer. I muted the phone. Try
Okay,
that.
now, can you, is this going to include the Avenue and Stammtisch for outdoor dining?
Outdoor dining is a citywide, once it commences, they had, and I'm sorry, Ted will probably explain it better later when he gives his report, but they have to apply. There's no fees. And yes, speaking to Werner, he's interested in Stammtisch, and Ted will bring you up to speed in his report. Okay? Thank you. Mr. Giordano, you got a statement from Assemblymember Miller?
Well, yeah, if you don't mind, I'd like to read first the one from Grace Meng's office.
Oh, I don't have that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's not too much then.
No, I don't have it, so go ahead.
So we got this from Christian Romero, and it says, the information for the mask giveaway, they're having another mask giveaway, Congresswoman Meng, is below. We would really appreciate it if you can blast this out to your contacts or post on social media. Similar to their prior giveaway, which occurred at the Glendale Memorial Triangle on Cooper and Myrtle, we will be giving out about 750 masks. This time it's going to be at the Glendale Community Garden, 7410 8H Street. That's right by the yeshiva there. And in Glendale, it's on tomorrow, Thursday, June 11th, 10:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. And that's for Representative Grace Meng.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, then we got something from Assemblyman Michael Miller's office. Assemblyman Miller says his office staff in the district office at 8391 Woodhaven Boulevard is providing refills for hand sanitizer bottles Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, for anyone who needs a refill. And he also says that the office staff and I have been involved in food distributions throughout the 38th Assembly District. Says if you know anyone who needs food, please email me at millermg@nyassembly.gov. Bless you.
Thank
Or
you.
call their office at 718-805-0950. He also says, please feel to call their office at same number, 805-0950, with your questions or concerns during this health crisis. If you need to reach me directly, and he gives his email address.
Okay, next.
Next, we have from Assembly Member Brian Barnwell. And this is from, I guess, his staff person, Victoria. We hope that everyone is doing well and staying healthy. We have a few announcements that we would like to share with the public this evening. First, on June 18th, our office will be partnering with NYLAG. I don't have the flyer, so I'm not sure who that is.
Legal Assistance Group or something like that.
Yeah, right. To provide free legal consultations over the phone. If you have any questions relating to legal issues, please call our office to reserve an appointment. Appointments are available between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. and must be reserved in advance. Their office has created a COVID-19 community resource guide, which includes information and resources for individuals impacted by COVID-19 that are offered by the city, state, and federal governments, as well as nonprofits. Assembly Member Barnwell's office says that they've shared the resource guide with CB5, which is true, and will continue to share the guide with the public. Lastly, if you have any questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to call their office. We are continuing to work remotely, and I'm more than happy to help. We can be reached at 718-651-3185. If you are not able to get through to us, please leave your name, number, and a brief message describing your issue. We will call you right back.
Okay, next.
I think it's the last one.
Council Member Holden, right?
Council Member Holden. And this is signed by the council member. Hello, neighbors, Community Board 5 members, and fellow elected officials. I hope that you are all staying safe and healthy, and I thank you for your continued work and volunteerism as we navigate this challenging year together. Our city is now beginning to reopen businesses as the spread of COVID-19 has slowed dramatically. And that is thanks to all our collective efforts to practice social distancing, wear masks, and practice good hygiene. He says that their office in Middle Village remains closed, but the staff and I gladly continue to serve our constituents every day while working from home. Please do not hesitate to call 718-366-3900 or email district30@council.nyc.gov, which is their office, anytime you need assistance. The City Council has continued its work over the past month to hold remote hearings and pass legislation related to the COVID-19 pandemic and other topics. During the most recent stated meeting, Councilmember Holden says he voted no on a bill that will create a local conditional release commission with all members appointed by the mayor to identify possible candidates for early release from incarceration. He says he also voted against a bill that bans the use of the word alien in city documents and regulations. He says that as we consider legislation related to police reforms, I am not in favor of large cuts to the NYPD budget, as our officers need the proper resources to do their jobs while the rates of several major crimes have risen in 2020. The council member says that he's also continued work on the local level to always improve the quality of life in our neighborhoods. After advocating since March for the residents of the Cooper Avenue homeless shelter to be moved into hotel rooms during the pandemic, the Department of Homeless Services finally informed me that it will be doing so this week. In addition, the city recently launched its text to 911 system after several delays, which will give domestic violence victims the hard of hearing and others who can't call 911 the ability to contact the authorities safely during an emergency. This was one of my priorities as chair of the Technology Committee, and I'm proud that New Yorkers can finally utilize this service. While we can't boost or host or attend many events these days, Councilmember Holden says his staff and I have organized a pair of mask giveaways outside their office where we donated thousands of masks and bottles of hand sanitizer to the local community. He says we have also donated masks and sanitizer to our local cemeteries and food pantries, and he recently took part in a pet food giveaway for people who have lost their jobs due to COVID-19. Going forward, Councilmember Holden says we'll continue to provide all the help we can to our community during this time. Now that the city has entered the first phase of reopening, he's confident that we can fully reopen in the coming weeks if we continue to do our part. It says his staff and he welcomed any and all questions or concerns, so please do not hesitate to contact us. I look forward to seeing all of you soon.
Okay.
And to my knowledge, Mr. Vinnie, that is all
Yep.
for the
Thank you.
elected officials.
So I think that's all I have. Anyone have any questions or comments to the chairperson? If not, Robert Chamelli is hand up. Bob?
Thanks. Gary, do you have any new statistics on the census? I know last time it was like 47%. Have we moved up a little further?
I don't know, but I don't think it's much better.
Okay. You know, we just, everybody's got to realize how important this is. We could lose two seats.
Okay.
No doubt about it. And the response in Queens and in portions of the Board 5 area has been below 50%.
Okay. Fred Haller? Fred Haller? Your hand's up, Fred.
You have to unmute, Fred.
I got it. The telephone number given earlier in the meeting was given with an 800 number. Gary gave it correctly. It's 888-727-4692, not 800. If you call the 800 number, they try to sell you a lifeline.
Okay, thank you. Richie Huber, your hand is up.
Yes, I'd just like to say I've been saying for the last few meetings that we're going to lose 2 congressional seats. And I have a friend who just got a job with a moving company. He said he is got more business than he could ever imagine. People are fleeing this state like rats from a sinking ship, as I have been saying, and the income and the taxes that are going to be forced upon us to balance this budget are going to be astronomical, and it's just going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy, sorry to say.
Okay,
please, everyone, stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else for the chair? If not, we'll do the, damn it, Mr. Giordano's report.
Okay. So as far as capital projects goes, one of the things we've been waiting for quite some time, it was supposed to, I believe, start in March, is the reconstruction of the turf soccer field / football field and the running track at Juniper Valley Park. So I did some inquiring, and Dennis Steffen was good enough to keep after me about this. And the response I got today from the Queens team leader for capital projects is that they're saying that the Parks Department will likely be pushing the order to work date back again. The Office of Management and Budget has not cleared the agency to begin new construction projects. Apparently, they've got a couple of projects that construction has continued on if for some reason they were deemed emergency projects. I don't know how many, I think 7. And then as far as the local sewer projects goes, one of the board members said, I think it was Walter Clayton, that Penelope Avenue's been resurfaced. So the last legs of that project, after the installation of some very, very big new sewer lines, which should provide a lot of capacity to prevent future flooding in that Penelope Avenue, 74th Street area, was the resurfacing of Penelope Avenue and the resurfacing of 74th Street. So it's Penelope Avenue from 71st Street to 74th Street, and then 74th Street from Juniper Boulevard south to Juniper Valley Road. And as I've said before, I think this was a $20+ million sewer project that Community Board 5 pushed very hard to secure funding for. The other big sewer project that's going on now in the Community Board 5 area is on Calamus Avenue, which is our border with Woodside and Board 2. And there's not too much of it is on Calamus, from like 69th Street to 70th Street. And then they're going up 70th Street with a very, very big new sewer line, some of which is going to be micro tunneled up to 60 feet down, I believe, at least. And it's going to go along 70th Street into 71st Street to the LIE. They're moving along quite well with that project. Put in a new sewer line in Calamus, and are this week are working on that. And they need to make a very big connection along 69th Street to go from Calamus Avenue into Queens Boulevard. So that project's moving along real good. Big water main project in Troutman Street and surrounding streets in Ridgewood. It's Troutman Street, trunk water main from Flushing Avenue to Cypress, along a portion of Cypress Avenue, and along Himrod Street as well. And that project seems to be moving along real well too. So the city, at least in our area, has done a lot to upgrade water and sewer. Some of it with our push. In the case of Troutman Street, it's an example of, in my opinion, how the city consistently replaces water main, probably sooner than is actually necessary, just to be prudent.
Gary, before you go any further, Kathy Massey has her hand up.
Yeah, Gary, I know Fiedler's not on today, and I just wanted to ask you, is there anything that you can do to push the opening of the turf fields at Maurice? Because with them closed, that just increases the volume of people at the other parks. Like tonight, Brennan Field is wall to wall.
Well, I have a question. I thought all the parks were closed. Why is anybody in them?
They're in there.
Parks are not closed, playgrounds are closed.
I'm sorry.
Well, if you take a ride to Forest Park, John.
They have open streets at Forest Park, Vinny. It's a great place. It's open. The playgrounds are all closed. Some parks that are access points to playgrounds are also then shut off, like Rosemary Playground, Star Street Playground. Those parks are completely shut off because they have kind of open space playgrounds.
Right, Principe Park is closed entirely, but people are on the turf fields every day.
Fields are not closed. The fields are not closed. They're not closed at Brennan.
Okay. We'll ask for a clarification. Go ahead, Mr. G.
Yeah, that's all I have right now.
Okay. So with that, we'll go to committee reports. And the only committee I have is Economic Development. Ted? Are you there?
Yeah. Just give me a second. Wait a minute.
Well, if you want to take a long break.
Do you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take myself out of view because I have notes and I don't want to be rude and look down while talking to you. So give me a second to stop the video. Wait. How come it's not going off?
There it is. You're
okay. So thank you very much. So basically speaking, since the pandemic began, I guess the end of last third week in March, about 70% of Myrtle Avenue was probably shut down because Myrtle Avenue is a major comparison shopping strip with retailers, service, with retail like clothing, furniture, uh, stuff like that, children's wear. And of the other 30%, that was mostly restaurants, delis, other businesses like Liberty Department Store, Closeout Heaven, and other extreme, which were like discount stores. They served enough of essential items like sanitizing and toilet paper and food and stuff like that they got an exemption and were also considered essential businesses. Probably about a month ago, almost every restaurant and eatery was open. One thing that was unusual was most Chinese takeout did not open. Only 2 in the district were open from the get-go, and most did not open until about 2 weeks ago, and some are still shut. So that was that story. So also, since the pandemic began, the bid continued essential services because we provide essential services, cleaning and horticulture and landscaping, and they concentrated on sanitizing the muni meters and other street furniture. We locked up the furniture in the 71st Plaza so people couldn't congregate. And we started removing graffiti, and we still have a ways to go. There was a tremendous uptick in graffiti, not only on Myrtle Avenue, but throughout the district. During the pandemic, we worked remotely from home, but I was on the street at least once or twice a week, driving down to see what conditions and seeing if there's anything to report either to the police or to SBS. Let me see. Let me see, what else is my notes here? Oh, I also, during this course, talked to a number of landlords and merchants, and many landlords told me that a lot of people weren't paying rent, and that actually the smaller mom and pop stores were calling and saying, I can't pay rent, I can only pay half, I can do this, and they wanted to work something out, whereas the big guys, the major chains, haven't paid them rent since April, May, and I don't know about June because June just started. Also, a number of our restaurants, we have a member of our own flock, Rudy's Bakery, who, in addition to being opened and servicing the community, donated much pastry and food to Wyckoff Heights Medical Center and to first responders. A number of other eateries, I think, did that also. So a shout out to her for that. We were fortunate, of course, not to sustain any damage from the unrest that's going on and was met in other parts of the city. We only had 2 stores that boarded up their property, and 1 remains. As you know, we went into phase 1 beginning Monday. We were in the office today because, as Gary also mentioned, we got 10,000 masks delivered to us on Friday. We've already doled out about 2,000. About half of those actually came from other businesses. Since we're on a list, we got a business from Ozone Park, Flushing, and a few other areas that wanted our masks. And we sent out a memo to our stakeholders, and we're in the process of it in the next week. And we will probably exhaust that 10,000 by next week. I don't know if there'll be another round coming from SBS. And we heard through the grapevine there may be sanitizing and gloves that might follow also. So that's on that note. What I've noticed, a number of businesses on the avenue, and primarily the major chains, as well as some mom and pop stores that could have opened Monday, have not yet opened. We did an extensive survey today, the staff, of the entire district. And I don't have the results of that tabulation because it came in about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And I will share that with the community board. So now moving on to Antonio Reynosa's bill, which talks about outdoor seating. The hearing was last Thursday, and I believe it will be on the stated, although I haven't confirmed this yet. I talked with Daniel from Councilman Holden's office, who is a co-sponsor. And this bill was sponsored by Antonio Reynosa, who is our other councilman for our area. And I want to thank both of them for supporting this. I believe they're going to vote on this next Thursday. And of course, what this will do, it will allow outdoor seating when we go into phase 2, which will be sometime, if everything goes well, end of this month, first week of July, thereabouts. We're already have been talking with DOT, which will be, I guess, the lead agency that's involved in this, because it will tie into their open streets, partial street program, and the plaza program. We, of course, have 3 plazas in the bid district: Venditti Square, the Ridgewood Memorial Triangle, under the auspices of the Parks Department, and 71st Triangle. Both for 71st and Venditti are under the auspices of DOT. And we also have Glendale Memorial Triangle under the auspices of DOT, adjacent to Stomptish. Antonio Reynosa invited me last week to a meeting with Board 1 that talked about this bill, because they, of course, Board 1 includes Williamsburg, where there are many, many restaurants who are interested in this plan that will be doled out. And I invited Hans and Werner from Stomptish, George from Tasty's Restaurant, Antoinette from Rudy's Bakery, and Bakash from the Nepalese restaurant to tie into this meeting. And some interesting things were said. And I, of course, told Councilman Reynosa that, you know, the city's great on rules and regulations. They really have to back off on this as we move towards phase 2. And the councilman agreed with that. I also made the case that in the plazas, we should waive the idea. It's a public space, but in this particular situation, this bill expires October 31st. And I think restaurants like Stomptish, the diner on Venditti Square, the restaurants on 71st Plaza, and even Joe and John's across the street should be allowed to use parts of that plaza for their exclusive seating. I sort of got the impression that, and I had conversations with DOT, and they told me they are on board with this, and they're going to be flexible about this, because I think it's very important to help our restaurants in this regard. So let me see what else I have here. As I saw, we've identified, the bid has identified several areas that might be good for either partial or complete closure, and of course our plazas. Seneca Avenue might be a potential because we have 3 restaurants on that block. The Ridgewood Memorial Triangle might be a potential because they have several restaurants, not 2 adjacent to that on that plaza, and 2 restaurants across the street that might be able to avail themselves to this plaza, as well as Venditti Square. So and we also have Tasty Restaurant has expressed interest. We might be able to close Center Street, take parking lanes, and we already have the DOT bump out there that marked expansion to allow for better turning radius. And Corrado Pizza has also expressed an interest, and there might be potential for taking spaces away to allow them to have outdoor seating. Of course, that opens up another Pandora's box as we open up the air. People, I think as a bid, we can work these issues out because we're all in this together to help each other out. On just another note, Paul Kersnick called me on Friday and alerted to me about an article, a guest article in the Daily News, Storefronts Suffer, Neighborhoods Weep. It was by a architect from Sunnyside, and basically it talks about you know, as people have boarded up and stores have been smashed. You know, we've worked for the last 15, 20 years to get rid of roll down gates and to open up our commercial districts as not only Ridgewood and our board, but citywide. I fear that something like this might, you know, backtrack, and that we're going to have people wanting to keep their roll down gates. Although there is that city rule that passed about 5 years ago that when you put a new gate up, it has to be 75% lattice and clear. So I think that's basically it. We're looking forward to phase 2, and we're looking forward to you know, getting out of this mess that we're in and coming into some kind of normalcy. So I'm going to put myself back, and if there's anybody wants to have any questions or have issues, oh, one more thing. During this time, Department of Small Business Services engaged many of the bids into what we may do to create a better climate for business, and how we will get out of this. And those ideas are being shared and will be shared by SBS.
Okay, Kathy Massey.
Yeah.
Kathy?
Kathy, you have to unmute.
Kathy. Unmute, there you go. Speak.
I understand that the restaurants are still going to have to go through an application process for the outdoor dining, and that, of course, is going to go before the community board. So we're going to have to get creative and figure out a very efficient way to get that all on our end approved quickly, not, you know, from month to month. We have to work on something as a board so that we're not the reason that these applications are being held up.
I think we should handle it the same way we do liquor licenses. If it's not controversial, we say yes or no. If it's controversial, we'll do a roll call outreach to the board members.
But I think the difference is going to be that month time.
No, we'll do it quicker.
Okay.
Like I said, electronic outreach, whatever it takes.
And that's probably the best way to do it.
Yeah. Okay.
Richard?
I'd just like to say, for this interim, I agree with Kathy, but let us not get into this idea of everything being virtual, because having a true face-to-face conversation and having the control of a live in-presence meeting is the best way to discuss these issues, so that once this whole woo flu thing is over, that we can get back to normalcy of having those who show up for the community board meeting are the participants and can discuss these matters properly. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anything else on that, Ken?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, I think normally we always voted at our general meetings monthly. Maybe with this, we should consider doing a weekly.
Well, see what happens, yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Anything else?
Yeah.
Yes,
Ed? Yeah, I just...
Okay, you got to push the button to raise your hand.
What button? I mean...
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So just to finalize some more thoughts about what I said. As we move to restarting, I mean, this is the time, I think, for all of us to, you know, retake a look at where we are in society, and maybe maybe policies that could change, and the time to look at, I mean, taxes are out of control, rents are out of control, and maybe this is time to really come back and see what we can do to like have a more equitable system. I don't know if that's going to happen soon, but I think it's worthwhile thinking about. And it's just food for thought. And, you know, businesses that got help from the city, I'm sorry, from the federal government, we need to, they still need help. And, you know, I don't know yet what our commercial strip, Myrtle Avenue, let alone the rest of the area, will look like, and how many businesses we may lose. I mean, there's already chains that have filed for bankruptcy, major chains in the country that filed for bankruptcy, and we may lose a lot of our mom and pop stores, and we need to help them because they are the backbone of our neighborhoods and of the economic climate that we have. So anyway, that's it.
We did it in 1975. We'll do it again.
Absolutely. We're not going to hear drop dead to New York, right?
Right, exactly.
Okay.
All right. Anything else? If not, we'll go to the nominations. Before we do, I need to read a letter from Pat Grayson. It is with regret that I am resigning from the Community Board 5 Queens due to ongoing medical issues that have confined me to therapeutic residence for an unknown period of time. I have enjoyed my 15 years of service with the board, but for my sake and that of the board, it is better that I no longer serve. It is with best wishes to all my colleagues and to you and your staff that I take my leave of you. Pat Grayson. So on the ballot where she was nominated at member at large, there's now an empty spot. So Mr. Giordano, would you take over the nominations?
Okay.
All right. So starting, you know, we had nominations last month. The current incumbent as chairperson is Vincent Arcuri from Glendale. Mr. Arcuri was nominated and accepted the nomination to continue serving as chairperson for another year at the last meeting. Are there any other nominations for chairperson of Community Board 5 in Queens? Any other nominations?
Give me a second, Gary. Let me open the telephone, people. Okay, everybody should be open. Unless everybody on the phone should be open.
Okay, so are there any other nominations for chairperson of Community Board 5 Queens? Going once, going twice. Peggy O'Kane, our secretary. Can she hear me?
I can hear you. All right. The secretary cast 1 vote to elect Vincent Arcuri, chair of Community Board 5. Everybody hear that?
I heard it.
Yes.
Yes. All right, so do we have to call a roll or what here?
No.
No, you don't have.
I elected you.
No, we do this every year, Vinny.
Go ahead.
No, you don't need to call the roll. If there were no other nominations and you accepted, then you are once again the chairperson. So I want to clap for you because you're wonderful most days of the week. All right, so for first vice chairperson, the incumbent is Walter Sanchez from Maspeth. Walter was nominated at our May 13th board meeting, and he accepted. So nominations are available again this evening. Are there any other nominees for first vice chairperson of Community Board 5 Queens? Any other nominees for first vice chair? Going once, going twice. Peggy O'Kane.
Secretary cast 1 vote to elect Walter Sanchez, first vice chair of Community Board 5.
Thank you. And thank you, Walter. Okay. The second vice chairperson is currently Dmytro Fedkowski. Dimitro is from Middle Village. And he was nominated at the May Community Board meeting. He accepted the nomination. Are there any other nominations for the position of second vice chair of Community Board 5 Queens? Going once, going twice. Peggy, help me.
Secretary cast 1 vote to elect Dimitro Fetkowski, second vice chair of Community Board 5.
Thank you, Peggy. Thank you, Dimitro. Okay. Then we go to treasurer. And our current treasurer is Kathy Massey. Technically Catherine Massey with a K. Kathy was nominated for the position to serve again for another term at the May Community Board meeting. Kathy accepted that nomination. Are there any other nominations for the position of treasurer of Community Board 5 Queens? Going once, going twice. Peggy?
Secretary cast 1 vote to elect Catherine Massey as treasurer of Community Board 5.
Thank you, Peggy. Kathy, thank you. Okay, secretary of Community Board 5. The current secretary is Margaret. We know her as Peggy O'Kane. And Peggy was nominated at the May Community Board meeting. She accepted the nomination. Are there any other nominations for the position of secretary of Community Board 5 Queens? Going once, going twice. Peggy?
Secretary cast 1 vote to elect Margaret O'Kane, secretary of Community Board 5.
Okay, double thank you, Peggy. Okay, so now we get to at-large members. And the current at-large members of the Executive Committee of Community Board 5 Queens are Ted Renz from Middle Village, spent most of his life in Ridgewood. Paul Kersner from Ridgewood. Patricia Grayson, who resigned as a member of Board 5. God bless her. She's gone through a lot, and she did a lot for the community for a lot of years. So she's resigned. And the other current member at large person or executive committee member for Board 5 Queens is John Meyer, who lives in Ridgewood.
Explain how many for the new members, how many at large we're voting for.
So we have 4 member at large positions. And as of the meeting last month, 6 people had been nominated, including Patricia Grayson. So Ted Renz was nominated to serve another year term as an at-large executive committee member. He accepted the nomination at last month's meeting. John Meyer was nominated to serve again as an at-large member of Board 5's executive committee. He accepted at the May meeting. Paul Kersner was nominated, and he accepted at the May meeting to serve for another term. Patricia Grayson was nominated, but she resigned from the board. Fred Haller was nominated to serve as an executive committee member. Fred lives in Glendale, and he accepted the nomination. And Walter Clayton was nominated to serve as an executive committee member at large, and he accepted the nomination. So the current nominees who accepted are Ted Renz from Middle Village, John Meyer from Ridgewood, Paul Kersner from Ridgewood, Fred Haller from Glendale, and Walter Clayton from Middle Village. We're not going to have this election tonight, I don't think. We're going to do it by a paper ballot.
You ask any more nominations, Gary?
Yeah, I'm going to say that now. Are there any other nominees for at-large positions on the Executive Committee of Community Board 5? Any other nominations?
Ken has his hand up.
Gary, can you explain what the at-large member does and is responsible for?
Well, I think Mr. Arcuri can do that better than I.
Okay.
On the executive committee, we're all equal. So we are the governing body, so to speak, of the community board. And everyone has an equal vote and equal participation at the executive committee meetings. At large is just, the goal of at large was to have someone representing every part of the district. So we have Glendale, Middle Village, Maspeth, Ridgewood. So those that were nominated, we would cover the district. We would hope that when the election occurs, that it's people are voted by, and there's equal representation from all the areas of the district. So that at the executive committee, there's fair judgment and meeting and decisions made.
Demetrio has his hand up. Demetrio, you have to unmute.
Hey, there you go. I'm sorry. No, I had raised my hand by accident. I apologize. Sorry about that.
Okay. Mr. G.
Okay, so are there any other nominations for executive committee at-large positions of Community Board 5 Queens? Going once, going twice. So Peggy, if you could close the nominations.
Excuse me, actually, can I cut in? This is John Meyer. I'd like to ask if Marianne Latanzio would be willing to be a member at large. I would like to recommend that she is nominated, but I don't want to do that without her, and she would need to accept. I don't know if she'd like to do that or not. I would nominate.
Marianne, you have to unmute.
Yes, I will accept.
Kathy Massey. Kathy Massey has her hand up. Unmute, Kathy.
I'd also like to do the same and ask Edward Mandel if he'd like to position Edward at large.
Didn't hear you. Speak up. Speak up. I didn't hear.
I would like to ask
Who?
Mandel. Edgar. I think he's on the phone.
Edgar.
I accept.
He accepted, Vinnie?
Yes.
Okay, are there any other nominations for at-large position on the executive committee? Going once, going twice. Peggy? Okay. So Mr. Arcuri, can you hear me?
Yeah, close the nominations, explain.
Hold on, Walter has his hand up.
Yeah, you know, Patricia Crowley has been a member of this board for, I'd say, 20 years. She quietly really takes a look at everything we do. She has incredible experience in education, in healthcare. I'd like to nominate her. I'd like to ask her to do it. I know she's like a reluctant and a quiet person, but I think she would add tremendously to our executive committee, and I'd like her insight on just about everything she does. Patricia, say yes. Come on.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Are there any other nominations? Going once, going twice?
Okay, close the
Okay.
number.
The nominations are closed.
So explain that we're electing 4 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And how are you going to distribute the ballots?
Well, why don't you explain that?
Well, you had, I'm trying to find it, that's all. I
Well,
can't find it.
look, here's what we spoke about.
Yeah.
You wanted them to be mailed to everyone.
Correct.
And that they would have to return it by mail or in person to the board office. We would mail them tomorrow or Friday and try, I don't know about when we could get them back because the mail is very haphazard. But Mr. Arcuri, if you want to go from there.
Yeah, so we will send out, and it's going to be one ballot because all the others were nominated, but you'll have to sign for those anyway. We always have a signature. So we'll send out the ballot, those that were elected by acclamation, and the 6 nominees for 4 positions. We will try to get them out, as Gary said, between tomorrow and Friday, assuming that you get them next week. And let me get my calendar up so I could speak from logic instead of my full mind. So assuming that you get it by the 17th, we would expect you to fill it out and turn it around immediately, either by mail or deliver it to the office mailbox in case no one's there still. And that we would do the tabulation. And if we have to have another vote because of ties or things like that, we'll follow up with that so that we will then announce sometime before or at the July meeting the results of the election.
Peggy has her hand up.
I'd like to suggest that we email the ballots because the mail is email the ballots to us and let us print them out and fill them out. That's going to take a lot of time out of it because I know people who are not getting mail.
I agree, but I can't print anything here. My 2 laptops that I work with every day don't like my printer, so I can't print. And I assume maybe other people have the same problem. We'll try and work it out. Fred Hefferly.
How about 2 things, both mail and email?
We'll try and work it out. Fred Hefferly.
That was my recommendation as well, to just email them to expedite things.
Okay. And Richard.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to say it's kind of tough because now that we have 8 candidates looking for 4 positions, I remember in years past where we've had to go through probably 6 or 8 ballots till we had a 51% for the 4 open positions. So, yeah, I agree that we should get email and that I would thank the board for staying on top of this to try and get this resolved before our next meeting. Thank you.
That's our great staff. We'll do that. Let's see, who is next?
Michael.
Mike Porcelli.
Why are we even thinking about using the post office? We can do everything by email.
Now, how are you going to do a signature? I can't. Remember, you have to print your name and sign the ballot. And we have to have a signature on file that you voted. Okay? Eric.
Fine, ladies.
Hold on. I'll call the Eric.
Yeah, just because I'm not, what everyone talking about
potential for email, I just wanted to bring up if it's a potential option. I know Google Forms is used a lot for casting ballots that might be out. I know you need a signature.
We need the signature,
There
Eric.
is a picture that can be uploaded with the ballot cast on Google Forms. So if that is acceptable by the bylaws, it would be an immediate vote cast, and the votes could be tallied immediately. So, if
But
there's
we don't know who's receiving it and who's signing it.
right. So it would be sent over email, and
Anybody could have my email. Anybody could answer electronically. So that's why we need a real signature.
And but you can attach a picture with a signature.
Eric, we need a piece of paper.
All right. Nope. Sounds good. Just wanted to bring it up just in case to see. Yeah.
Appreciate it. Ken, you're next, Ken.
My idea was, yes, email it, and instead of a signature, your last 4 digits of your social security.
No, we need a
Everyone
signature.
uses it.
We need a signature, period. Okay, who didn't speak
idea.
yet? Dr. Gurung? Doctor?
You have to unmute yourself, Doctor.
There is a document, there is a, what it calls the, on the DocuSigns, you can look the ballots, and electronically you can sign there and send the form. And it will be only for the person which that email sent to, not for other. And only you can sign it, not other. So there is.
For the purpose of this first time ever remote election, we still require a piece of paper with your signature on it.
Yeah, I do agree. But we, on those, rather than actual signing, we can do electronic signing also, and that's acceptable.
Donald Passantino. Speak. You have to unmute, Donald.
There you go.
Okay, there we are. I can easily sign a piece of paper here that I've received and scan it in and send it as a PDF. Then you can print out the PDF at your end very easily too. It'll have my signature on it.
It's not an original signature. Right now, until this whole situation is discussed legally and everything else, we still need the hard signed signature. Thank you. Because no one in the city has figured this out. Let's see. We had Richard, we had Fred, Bob Tremelli.
Yes, I just agree with, send the email to the candidate as soon as possible, because I got a feeling you're going to have to do it a few times. You might have not.
That's my fault. Hold on. Bob, you're muted.
I don't think you're going to get a majority at the first round of votes with 8 people moving. So I wouldn't wait for the next board meeting. I would do this as soon as possible. Start the voting. You send the email out, get it back. We'll try to get it back to you as fast. If I have to mail it, we'll get it back to you as soon as possible with the signature.
Sound you're making.
And if you don't have a majority vote, we're going to have to go again with instructions what to do. You understand what I mean, Gary?
Yes, I think so.
If you don't get more 50%, if you get something that's 4 people and you may get 5 people with the same vote or very close, doesn't get a majority, they don't get it voted in.
Correct.
Go for another vote.
I say again, would faxing be acceptable? Would that be considered an original?
Everybody doesn't have fax machines.
But if we can do various ways to get them to you, that's what I'm inquiring.
Emails will probably come to us. I think most people have printers. I think emails is the fastest way. And then we could print it out and then mail it back.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah, hold on. I'm trying to make it clear, there's been no legal precedent for this yet, and no one can answer us in Borough Hall or City Hall. So we need a hard, real signature, okay? Hopefully spoke. Laura, you have something to say?
Just quickly, to what Peggy was saying, our fax machine isn't working. Verizon hasn't been out to fix it because of what's happening. I just wanted to say that.
It doesn't matter. We need, until it's legally determined, we need a real signature. All right? Richie, what do you have to say?
all I'd like to say is that most people on this board have a smartphone for a matter of...
You're not listening.
I
Until it's determined legally, we need a real signature, period. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Fred Heffley, and then Fred Haller, and then Dr. Garung. Heffley.
Yeah, Vinny, I was just going to volunteer to drop off the email ballot to you. When it's emailed to us, I'll print a copy and drop it off to you.
You could coordinate with Gary and Laura. Yes, thank you. Because I'm one of the nominees. I shouldn't be receiving them. Thank you. Fred Haller.
Unmute, Fred.
So those who receive the majority are in, and then those who don't, we drop the lowest and then we revote. Is that the standard procedure?
Whatever is in our bylaws.
No, I'm just asking, Secretary, is that the standard procedure?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Garung?
Yes, sure. In regards to the ballots, if it is not possible through email, maybe we could go to the community board office, pick up ourselves, and a couple of days we could again deliver to the community office. Is that possible?
Well, we're going to try and email them out, but we need the hard signature back. Yes. That it will probably be a combination of all three, like Fred said, delivering, email, and snail mail. So that's what we're going to work out with staff. You have to remember that staff has been cheating being in the office this week because we have not been released to be there by the city, but they've been there because of the elections, because of the year-end closeout on the financials and everything else. So we have to be careful what we're doing. Thank you. John Meyer.
I'm just making sure that there's a mail slot at the office.
There is not.
All right, so maybe we'll go out and buy a mailbox and nail it to the wall. We'll work it out, John. What they've been doing was holding the mail at the post office for us to pick up. And Mr. Giordano has been picking up mail every day.
I'm not going every day, Vinny.
Well, you were this past week, but that's besides the point. Okay, Walter Clayton.
Unmute, Walter.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, since we don't trust the mail to mail it out, we're going to email to them, then we shouldn't be mailing it back. And concerned with the mailbox, through the years, I've been slipping it under the door whenever I did the budget. I used to slip it under the door.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we got.
Yep. Okay, thank you. Yeah, Mookie.
Yes.
You had your hand up.
No, I didn't.
It's still up.
Peggy, when you
electronically.
I just put it up now to answer you because I wasn't speaking to you.
Okay, thank you. All right, so it is now 9:39, 9:40. Do we have any old or new business? Any old business? Any new business? Okay, and I apologize to all the new board members for this total confusion.
Ken has his hand up.
Who,
Vinny.
where?
Ken and Richie. Ken first. Ken, you have to unmute.
Is there any word on a date that that CB5 is going to get together with Amazon and Rentar Plaza?
Gary sent down.
Are they going by what their original plan was?
Gary sent out a couple of requests today. I don't know if he got a response back, Gary.
I did. I don't know if I have it real handy. I'll tell you what so you see that everything's boarded up over there or barricaded along Metropolitan Avenue. And still from what I'm gathering is that they're putting in new sidewalks and they are going to put in at least 2 garages. I think they've taken down the canopy where the entrance was for the pedestrians. And I'm still quite sure, but I'm looking for a total confirmation that there are 2 new garages for smaller vehicles, I believe, are going to be where the front pedestrian entrance was.
Okay. John Meyer, Richie was first and then John Meyer.
I would like to say that I hope everyone stays safe in these difficult times, and I'd like to make a motion to close this meeting and thank everyone.
Hold on, we have 2 other questions. John Meyer.
Yeah, I was just to follow up with Ken's inquiry and Gary's information. Is it possible to get the plans that are on file or not? Because they had to put plans in.
That's a very good question, because it wasn't even essential construction. So,
well, the essential construction is done now. So, and I mean, yes, they did some demolition and stuff before the date, but yeah.
We'll try and find out.
Filing plans they could have done already.
We'll try and find out. Ed Leteau.
Yes, I just wanted to remind everybody, do vote. Make sure that you either go to the early voting site that you're assigned to. If you did the absentee ballot request, make sure that you sign the ballot envelope and only put the ballot inside the ballot envelope. And the third thing is also, if you're waiting for the 23rd, there are going to be some poll sites that may not be open. There's several that are not going to be open because not the board, but because of the corona situation. So just check vote.nyc and follow what's on there, the latest information.
So you need to clarify that this is only for Democrats, because
Right,
there's no Republican, no conservative, no liberal primary.
Right.
This is a Democratic primary, period.
Right. And also it has the, district leaders, your committee people, assembly, whatever ED/AD you're in, it has specific for that area. So make sure that you vote for all the lines, because you won't, if you do it absentee, the machine is not there to reject it, to let you know you missed something. So be very careful filling out those ballots and sign that ballot envelope.
Okay, are there any other questions or comments? Then there's a motion by Richie to end the meeting. Is there a second?
I second.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Tony. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, again, we'll try and keep everyone informed and get the ballots out as quickly as possible. Thank you.
Good night.
Have a good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Stay safe.
Good night.
Good night. Stay safe.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.